from wherever you're joining us from, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. Thank you so much for joining us across the globe. And it's an absolute honor as the director of the Green Institute to welcome you to the World Sustainability Conference of 2025 that is conveyed, as mentioned earlier, in partnership with the Birmingham Institute of Sustainability and Climate Action, BISCA, and the Eater Food Research Center for Excellence, both of the University of Birmingham. And let me just express again my heartfelt appreciation to our conference chair, Professor David Anner, whose leadership in hydrology, water sciences, and sustainability continues to inspire us all. And I also warmly recognize our co-host, Dr. Ellen Oye-Acker, for our leadership and for our deep expertise in food systems, microbiology, and sustainable innovation our expertise has long bridged science and society with such grace and such vision. And just before we start, because we're going to take our next speaker because of our time, I would like to share a story of grace. It's kind of like the paradox of water. And more than a decade ago, while I was completing my PhD, I lived and worked in a coastal community in Nigeria. It's called the Elijah community. And during that time, I met a woman called Grace, a mother of four, and whose life embodied what I since call the paradox of water. And every morning, Grace would have to work kilometers away just to get access to clean water. This is a paradox because she is surrounded by water, but yet testing for it. And when I once asked her how she endured all, she smiled gently and said, "Water is both our grief and our grief." And that sentence has never left me, and it has captured the very essence of sustainability, that what sustains us can also undo us, if not respected, if not valued, and if not wisely managed. And in Grace's world, water was not simply a resource. It was a mirror of humanity's interdependence with nature. And also, as Professor David Anner reminded us last year during the 2024 World Sustainability Conference, he said, and I quote, he said, "Importantly, we need to value water and think about investment in water infrastructure. We need to develop behavioral change and knowledge promotion and engage the communities affected as real partners." And when he said this, again, I thought immediately about Grace and millions of people like her who live daily at the confluence of abundance and deprivation. And their life reminds us that sustainability begins not with theory, but with empathy, and with listening, partnership, and action. And today's theme is Sustainability 360, integrating people, planet, and policy. And this year's theme invites us to view sustainability not as an isolated agenda, but as an integrated system where people, where planet, and policy form a continuous cycles of responsibility and renewal. And just looking at it statistically, about 35% of global sustainable development goal targets are on track. And yet studies shows that when we align climate action with sustainable development initiatives, we can achieve to 37% greater efficiency and delivery benefits for people, planet, and prosperity. And these figures are not simply statistics, they are signposts. They're urging us towards collaboration rather than competition, integration rather than isolation. And again, I would like to acknowledge the privilege, and also it's been a privilege to host extraordinary lineup of speakers and thinkers whose scholarship and leadership continue to shape sustainability worldwide. So first, I would like to recognize Professor Francis Pope, Professor of Atmospheric Science, University of Birmingham, who is advancing air quality and climate resilient research. Professor Ian Jefferson, Professor of Geotechnical Engineering, pioneering sustainable urban underground infrastructure. Professor Ato Bilal, Professor of Accounting and Sustainability, championing corporate responsibility and social accountability. Dr. Noor Godongu, Assistant Professor of Strategy and Sustainability, Exploring Inclusion and Ethical Leadership. Dr. Nana Osie Bonsu, Assistant Professor of Responsible Business and Sustainability, who is advancing just transition models for business and policy. Professor Chris Roger, Director for Future Infrastructure and Cities, Reimagining Resilient Urban Environments, and Dr. Rose Abinet, who is unpacking the morals and social narratives of sustainability. And last but not least, we have Dr. Egosa Ekato, Associate Professor of International Environmental Law, that's connecting governance, justice, and environmental protection. We will also be hearing from Dr. Mohamed Abdullah, Professor of Environmental Chemistry, and is addressing the unseen dangers of persistent pollutants. And each of these voices brings insights that will help us move from knowledge to transformation, but not just transformation to action, from conversation to collaboration. So thank you so much for all of us that are joining. And I hope that the story of grace and the wisdom from Professor Anna today will help us spur into action. So I hope that's also that we can take time out. Please ensure that you have comments in the chat box, and that some of the things that we talk about today will help us value water, will help us value life, and value people. And that in the next couple of days, that this conference will be inspiring, will be challenging, and will be transformational. Thank you so much, and welcome to the 2025 World Sustainability Conference.